All right, guys, I just want to share something amazing that's happening down here in Ava, Missouri. Just no structure to this meetings at all. Like everything's planned out, but God has completely different plans, and the Holy Spirit just showed up this morning. I don't even know. It's 1 o'clock. I was supposed to speak 2 hours ago, and we're still going from the first service. The Holy Spirit has really dropped on this place, and we've been talking about. I've been talking about for a long time that until we get the Spirit and the truth together and we know what that looks like, we're never going to see a powerful work by the Spirit, by God. We're never going to see this movement go anywhere. Well, there's a lot that I can say, I'll say afterwards, but I want to introduce you to a gentleman that's standing right next to me here. And if you could just give your first name.
Yeah, my name's Henry.
So guys, meet Henry down here. And are you from this area?
Just moved down here in November.
Okay, so
bought a place.
Just moved down here. Like half the world is moving to Ava, Missouri for some reason. It's crazy. There's so many Messianics that are taking over the town. But in the tent behind me, we were praying and just ministering, and people felt like they wanted to hear from God. And so we just prayed that anybody that wanted to be mikvahed in the Holy Spirit, like Acts chapter 2 type of baptism, that it would just come down and people would just receive it and hear from the Lord and begin to speak another. I don't know. There we are. Sorry about that. I accidentally hit my thumb. And this gentleman, who has never been heard the voice of God before audibly, I'm going to let him tell his story because I believe this is going to be a blessing to you. There was over a dozen people that almost simultaneously, like Acts chapter 2, started speaking in tongues. And I'm going to let him tell his story because this is pretty cool.
All right. So a couple years ago, I asked the Father, I've been praying to be able to hear his voice audibly. And I pray that every single day, and it had not happened. And today they just asked if anyone had just heard in the Spirit is what it was, and they were bringing people up. And Nathan Harmon had grabbed me, and he kind of coached me through. He's like, "Hey, just do this," as far as how to speak in tongues, I guess, because it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, none. And as I was doing it, I heard the Father, man. And he told me, "I hear you," and it took me a minute to register. I kind of walked off, and I walked around, and I was talking to some friends, and one of the brothers comes up, and he looks at me. He says, "Something happened, didn't it?" And I was like, "Yes, man, I heard the Father audibly. I heard him, and I am so excited." And I broke down like you wouldn't believe, sobbing like a baby. But praise YHWH, man, praise the Father for what He's doing here and what He's doing with everyone. It's incredible. It really is.
So what he's saying is that he'd never had this language before,
no.
and wasn't sure about it. As you can tell, this guy's a very hands-on, real dude, and so Nathan was just basically saying that, look, if you want this gift, you have to open your mouth. You just have to open your mouth and begin to let the voice come forward, and it won't make any sense, but it will turn into a language of heaven. I know some of you watching this may not even believe.
It makes zero sense to me. Zero still at this moment, other than.
But it happened, and so you can't deny it.
No, none whatsoever.
Because it happened.
Yes.
And I don't know what happened, but I can tell you what happened because I've helped a lot of people like this, that you began to like make a noise, and then it just turned into a language.
Yes.
And you don't even know what the heck you were saying.
None.
But in the process, just to recap, so you guys caught this, in the process of him praying in this other language, he had never heard the voice of God before, and he literally audibly heard the Holy Spirit say, "I hear you."
Yes.
How cool is that? Like, out of all the things,
Praise the Father.
out of all the things that he could have said.
Yes.
Like, he could have give you like lottery ticket numbers, you know what I mean? he could have like unpacked for you some crazy verse that everyone's trying to figure out, right? But he just simply said, "I hear you."
It's all I needed.
I hear you.
And he knew it.
I hear you.
Yes.
And so what a beautiful thing is, you guys. And over a dozen people, 2 of them were my daughters that got baptized in the Holy Spirit, and which is just crazy as a dad. It's just the most beautiful thing ever, because now the Holy Spirit goes from something that you observe to something that is like an internal light, something that is so powerfully on the inside that this won't be the first time that you hear his voice. Like, you will now hear him everywhere you go.
I sure hope
It's
so.
just a whole nother level.
At this moment, I am so filled over the top with emotion and joy and happiness that I can't even describe it. I'm going around, I'm hugging everyone, I'm loving on everyone, I'm crying. It's incredible.
So cool.
This is
That's
great.
so cool. You
I
guys,
love this guy too, man.
Listen, man, God's so good. And I just want to share one quick story for all of you doubters out there. And I shared this with the group on the inside, that I was praying with my daughters not too long ago. Actually, I guess it was a little long ago now. It was about 7 months ago, right before the word from the Lord that came in January 12th. And I started praying in tongues for the first time around my family. And one of my daughters at the end said, "Dad, I heard you in English. I heard what you said. God told me what you said." She had somehow knew that I prayed in tongues, but she heard me in like almost like two languages at one time, and she began to dictate what I said, that I didn't know what I was saying. And so this stuff is real. I had another friend of mine who mentored me, actually, was on a plane, and there was a guy in Africa, South Africa, or not South Africa, it was an African gentleman that was sitting next to him, and God told my friend to start speaking in tongues. And he's like, "Man, are you crazy? They're going to throw me out of this airplane, 30,000 feet. That won't be any fun. I'm not doing that." But after about 25 minutes, he just gave in, and he couldn't resist the Spirit anymore. So he started praying, and the gentleman next to him started sobbing, started crying. And as my friend began to talk to him, and this gentleman began to speak in broken English, he began to explain to him that he was hearing the gospel in his native African tongue. While my friend was praying in the Spirit, this man was hearing the gospel in his African tongue, and he got saved right on the airplane. Never met each other in their life, and it was all because this gentleman, my friend, my mentor from when I was younger, he spoke in the Spirit and prayed in the Spirit,